Guys, welcome back. What is going on? What is good? Today, you're really going to like this episode because what we're going to talk about today, white noise, is one of the most relaxing, fun things to do. And it could almost be said that my YouTube channel, these Ableton videos, the top video is a video I made about white noise. I think it's called Make Atmospheric Music with Ableton or something like that. And yeah, it's my top played video, and white noise is amazing. And also, we're gonna cover something today that I don't think we've ever talked about. And in fact, it's one of the techniques. It's called parallel processing, and don't let that scare you. We're actually gonna be the way you do it is with a audio effect rack. And if you weren't aware, because there's a lot of people out there that'll say parallel processing, everyone knows that. I would venture to guess that more than 95% of people don't utilize this. Maybe they're vaguely aware that you can do this, and nothing's complicated, so don't worry. But even if you don't care about the white noise or care about anything, or you're oh, I like when that guy used to make more actual tutorials, let me see what one of these SDHOs are for anything, keep watching, because that could possibly, and again, I want to show you guys such amazing things we can do with white noise. All you really need is white noise and a filter. And this episode will also be good because if you don't have operator or analog, a device that can give you a synthesizer that can give you white noise, which should probably be any single synthesizer out there. I will also show you how to do it with just a sample of white noise and simpler, which means that anyone can follow along. So yeah, and then also if you really stay, and you gotta love and like this video, because I'm going to at the end talk about, I don't think you would really call it white noise, but if you go to the vinyl distortion plugin, it just spits out kind of white noise. It's more like rhythmic, so more like, so if and then how we can take that and run it through a resonator device such as Resonator or Corpus, and basically almost get a rain sound, it almost sounds like the rain is hitting metallic objects. So we're gonna get real ambient and cozy and relaxing, and it's gonna be really good today, and I hope you're doing well. You guys can own SDHO 66, the thumbnail. You can also purchase any of these other thumbnails. You will be verified on the blockchain that you own that artwork, no one else, exclusive. I create these thumbnails in Blender, a 3D computer graphics application, and this is a little look inside the Blender project. And so, first of all, white noise. If you have operator, open up operator, and I'll just show you where the white noise is in Ableton. So if you go to, so right now we're in, as I'm sure you might know, we're in oscillator A. So this is the only thing that would be making any noise. So we got that, but we don't want sine wave, so we want to come over to wave and select white noise. Now I'm going to lower it because white noise is every single frequency, harmonic, everything, full blast. So it's very high frequency, so I'm going to lower this volume here. That's white noise. Everyone knows what that is. And you add a filter to then get that nice noise, which I believe is called brown noise. And so if you were curious, well, you like white noise, but what if I want to do this with brown noise or pink noise or indigo noise or whatever? I actually saw a video on that because I was always curious. They're all white noise. It's just when you put different filters on it. Audio effect rack. We'll be using that. We'll be dropping auto filters into audio effect rack. But yeah, using the filters, that's what then gives it the classification of brown noise, pink noise. So yeah, you can make whatever you damn well need to. I always have an EQ compressor and a limiter on every track. So you can either follow along. Hope this fly doesn't ruin the production. I'm one of those people where like, I like never keep doors or anything open very long because I never want like bugs to fly in. So I've got this like, it's even driving Merlin a little bit bonkers over there. He's like, this fly is very fast. Like it's so fast you can barely see it. Either that or I'm slowing down. I'm not slowing down, come on. So you've got it in operator. You also have it in analog. So white noise right here. And then of course you've got your white noise. You know what's up. Sounds so good. But because I have to get everyone up and running, even if you don't have Ableton Live Suite, everyone has Simpler no matter what version of Ableton you have. So drop Simpler, and then we want to get our white noise track. Now, of course, I'm going to do a lot of cool sorcery, but I want to set everyone up, you know, make sure everyone is feeling good and flowing here so no one's like feeling like they're being left out. So you got your Simpler here, and we're actually going to see that with this Simpler, you can also do other things possibly than if you had the operator, which we're going to use. So I'm going to, for the time being Simpler, and you need to get a sample of white noise. Now, any big sample library should give you white noise. It's probably very easy to download if you don't have that. It should be everywhere. I mean, it's used in like dance music for like building up like, you know, like risers and stuff and fallers. So it should be everywhere. Although I found that like I didn't have it in any of my packs, any of my samples. So I just recorded a sample of it. And so I'm going to try to figure out where that is. White noise. I don't think any of these are it. I think it's actually in my own user library. Where is it? White noise. So this is just white noise. So drop it in there. Again, everyone has Simpler. Go get your white noise. You want to obviously loop it. And I'm going to lower this frequency so it doesn't kill our ears. And going to move this in. Doesn't really matter because it'll be seamless when it loops. So I'm holding the button down. Now, it didn't loop. That's what I learned. You actually have to, when you reset these, you then have to re-trigger it, and then you'll notice it'll loop now. Or not. No, it will. Now, we can't really hear it looping over. And by the way, we're going to draw a clip in here. It doesn't matter what note. They're all the same. It doesn't even matter really what length. But I'll just do 4 bars. Hit it legato, and now let's click play, launch it. Shift tab to go back into here. Now, you actually can't hear it looping over, which is very nice. But if you did have a problem with that, you would just, what you would do is you would like inactivate this, give like a little crossfade here. But we don't need that, but I needed to show it just because sometimes I'm so thorough, so it's just constant. And it doesn't matter. When this loops over the MIDI clip, it's going to be constant. Use your ears. Same thing if I, that wasn't supposed to happen. I'm supposed to option drag you. What are you doing? Okay, there we go. Should be the same thing with operator. Just make sure you've got white noise. Not noise looped, but just no white noise. I lowered the filter. By the way, we're just getting started here. See what it sounds like when it loops over. Yeah, it's seamless, which is nice. You always want that. What's nice and why I would just prefer to use operator or like analog or any synthesizer that has a noise generator is because if you were ever like needed it to be a certain length of time and you didn't want any looping, you know, of white noise like you would do here, you know, there's nothing preventing you from going into the MIDI clip and just making this MIDI clip like 900,000 bars or something like that, you know, and because you're in control of everything. So like for instance, the amp envelope, the volume envelope is up all the way, full sustain. So I know no matter what, it's always gonna play the volume full blast. It's not gonna like quiet over time or anything. So I just prefer to do it with operator, but I wanted everyone to know who, you know, didn't have, because someone might actually have like Ableton Live intro and they're like, well, I don't even want to use simpler. I'm just gonna use some plugin synth that I have that gives me white noise. So now we're set up and we're going and flowing. And I'm just gonna leave it on operator here. I might come back to white noise later. And I'm just gonna like simplify my track here. I always have EQ, compressor, and limiter on every track. So I set that up as my default. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to audio effects and we're gonna drag the audio effect rack. And see this filter over here? This is the filter that comes with operator. We're actually not going to use that. So I'm going to turn it off just to illustrate the point. So this is white noise in all of its glory. It's kind of annoying, but then you throw on filtering. It sounds nice. So why aren't we using this filtering? Why aren't we using it? Well, we're not using it because I want to use a lot of filters. And I'm going to drop a lot of these filters, Ableton's auto filter. I'm going to be dropping these in an audio effect rack. And we're going to utilize parallel processing, which again, if you didn't come for the relaxing ambient noises, well, something tells me this might take your knowing about this if you didn't, or just vaguely knowing about this is going to take your when it comes time to mix down your track, this production technique might help you if you didn't know about it. Because here's why, and it ties in with why I'm not using operator's filter. The reason why is because, and I'm just going to turn off this audio effect rack. The reason why is whatever comes from this operator, so no matter what we do in this operator, because things flow from left to right, and then what you hear at the very end is what then goes to the master channel. If you have multiple tracks, they all go to the master channel. You know, that's what you then hear when you finish an entire track. But what's interesting is I have to be mindful of that. So right now, what is hitting this audio effect rack, or what's hitting anything? You know, let's pretend I had a chorus right here. What is actually hitting this chorus device, this chorus audio effect? It's whatever comes out of operator, right? So right now, I'm just going to turn the dry wet all the way down so it's bypassed effectively. So we got this sound, right? Now this sound is what's going in the chorus. But what if I don't want that? You know? And that's what I need to be mindful of. That's why we're going to do this parallel processing, because right now all that hits that chorus is the white noise with this filter frequency taking all of it out. But I don't want that. I want to pass the entire white noise through multiple audio filters, because otherwise, if I've got this filter frequency down, I'm only passing white noise that is filtered out everything above 600 hertz, and that's what's then being processed through the rest of what's in the chain. But I don't want that. I want that white noise to go through multiple filters, and then I can mix in the different effects. And then later, if I want to remove higher frequencies, I can do it later in the chain. So I hope that made sense. So I'm going to turn off the filter. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And I'm going to start here. So right now I've got white noise that's going to be fed into this audio effect rack, and the audio effect rack just allows you to put a lot of effects. You can put whatever you want in here. Oh, let's run it through a cabinet. Let's run it through a corpus. Now we have whatever comes through our synthesizer, in this case operator, that sound is going to be pushed into this auto filter. You know, maybe auto filter is down here. It's also And then we're going to hear what it sounds like running through the audio filter. But we're also going to hear that pure white noise sound enter into the cabinet, completely unadulterated. And then we'll hear that sound. Same thing with the corpus. So this auto filter, so the white noise going through this auto filter is going to have no effect on the white noise that's going through this cabinet. But we're going to have all three different sounds, which we can then mix, move to the right, move to the left, what have you. So hopefully this isn't too confusing. To be honest, I thought this was just going to be about white noise today. But then I realized that I would have to be using auto filter or an audio effect rack with multiple auto filters to be even able to do this. So without the auto filter, we have this. We turn it on. Now it's on low pass filter right here. This is low pass filter. So it's saying let all of the lows up to this point go through. So if I take it all the way down here, you won't be hearing anything. And as we move it up, we get more and more frequencies. And just because these sounds can be a little bit harsh, I'm going to drop a regular reverb on here because apparently hybrid reverb uses up a lot of space. Now, notice how this little line shows up. I don't want to put it here because if I put it here, this reverb's only going to process what's in this chain. So if I open up and do create a chain, this particular chain, if we solo it, is just going to be this white noise. And if I solo this, notice how it's got that reverb tail. So I don't want this here because I want it to affect everything, so I'm going to put it here. So, yeah. Hear it? All together. So notice how without, and then just with the auto filter, and then just the dry signal, you put them both together. Notice how much better that sounds. So you can up the volume. You can even modulate that. It's for like waves. Wonderful, wonderful. But I don't want this chain to just be empty here. And keep in mind, each time you duplicate a chain, you're getting more and more volume because so what's coming out of the operator is being fed into the auto filter. You then hear it. It gets then fed into the next chain, which there's no processing, but you're getting a whole nother chain coming through of audio. So it's doubling that. So you want to be mindful of the volume. Sometimes people will just go in here and just knock everyone down by 3 decimals or something like that, because you're adding more and more volume. So this first one, and again, just to recall, this reverb is going to process everything that comes out of this audio effect rack. Okay, so it goes from the operator, goes left to right, into the audio effect rack, into the reverb. And that's very linear. So we're used to okay, after the operator, we then pass it through an overdrive, and then we hear what the operator sounds like, what that audio sounds like passed through the overdrive, and then that overdrive then gets passed through. Now it's in the phaser flanger. Now it's going into the reverb, and that's very linear. Whereas what you could do is you could, as we've seen, and again, I'm doing this to be a teacher to help you guys, is what we can do instead is we can say maybe we just want this sound to pass through the overdrive, and then we want to have another chain, and then that chain is then going to have the phaser flanger. So rather than hearing the operator's audio pass through the overdrive, and then that signal passed through the overdrive goes into the phaser. Now we're hearing that signal go through the overdrive. We have that sound here, which we can then tweak, and then we're also hearing that sound go through the phaser flanger. And that would be ideal if you wanted to have just the sound going through the phaser and just the sound going through the overdrive and mixing them together, because maybe you don't want that sound that goes through the overdrive to then get passed into the phaser. I really hope this is not complicated, because this isn't just about fun time. Sometimes I'm like, I have to explain something, this case parallel processing, and if this wasn't fun, then whatever. Maybe I'm going to share the most coolest techniques later on in this video, and this just weeded out anyone who was like, just give me the goods, I don't care, you know what I mean? So please smash a like and possibly leave a comment if you found that to be very helpful. So now we've got this auto filter playing. And you can hit any key, it's going to be the same. And I'm actually going to go put a utility at the end of this because I want the ability at any point to like come in here and like boost the output. And so I want another audio effect. I want another auto filter on here. So I'm just going to drag it in. I'm going to give it a different color. And on this one, I'm going to change it to LPF for low pass filter. So that's going to be giving me that really, so again, these is mute, solo, panning, the volume, pretty much just like over here. And so I'm going to turn off our low pass filter. Actually, just again, this is the nice sound. Let me give it some filter drive. Turn it off. Now this auto filter, we're going to utilize one of these other ones. Now, we were on low pass filter, which says let all of the lows pass up to here. So think about this, cutting out all these highs. Let's do the opposite one and see if it benefits us. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. This is what you would call a high pass filter because it's letting all the highs pass through the filter up to the cutoff point. Now, this one I found to not be so useful. And by the way, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build up layers of white noise to create like an environment. You might say environment, it doesn't sound like filtered white noise when I walk outside. It kind of does, but the environment doesn't have to be like walking outside. I mean, hell, you know, it even sounds like that in your house. You got your refrigerator, air conditioner, furnace humming and bumming along, even though it sounds a little bit more mechanical, which we can probably use to our advantage with white noise later. But when we put it in the simpler, we're going to head back to that. So it's like an environment, like a relaxing environment. So let's hear what this sounds like. So now it's only letting the highs through. Oh, well, you might want to put this end down here. So it's retaining all of the highs. It's kind of giving me the feeling of, because what you notice is different filtering on different white noises will give different sounds. Like some will sound more like waves on a beach. Another one might sound more like a heavy torrential downpouring of rain. And another might sound more like this, like kind of like a waterfall. Now up here, that's not really doing a whole lot. And to be honest, I would almost want to take this, duplicate it, and literally just cut out the highest highs. Because I don't ever want it to like get up there. But we can do that later. And so this is the high pass filter, but then we have this filter, which kind of gives us a similar effect because it's cutting out these highs and cutting out these lows, because we're already getting the lows over here. And I'm going to take it from a 24 pole to a 12 pole, and we're kind of getting a similar sound. Just think about the tides on the beach, the waves. So we're kind of getting a similar thing here. Just more aggressive. Like think if you were like standing underneath like a waterfall, like something tells me you would have those higher frequencies up there, but we don't. That's the thing, the white noise gives us all the frequencies up to, what is it, 12,000 hertz, 18,000 hertz? Yeah, I don't know what it is, it doesn't really matter. But like, that's why normally I won't use this one, because you don't want these up here. It's gonna kill your ears. You get a similar effect here, and it's just more pleasing. And then we'll also see the notch pass gives us some good stuff too. You're probably wondering, well, hell, I liked when it was moving. Well, we'll be doing that to that as well. And we even have this crazy one, which I found when you do things like this. So right now, it's no different than what we had. And again, I don't want those, but you can do things like this, modulated. Because you don't want these higher frequencies coming in like that ridiculously, like, you know what I mean? It's the same volume across the spectrum, and like our ears are more sensitive to those higher frequencies, and those higher frequencies don't sound good. So we're basically like recreating, and again, we could take like another sound and like chop it up, you know what I mean? So for instance, like, you know, to make the sound of like, because you'll hear these white noises coming from like mechanical equipment, and it'll like be rhythmic, like it'll like chop. So it's like we could put anything in here. As I said, it doesn't even have to be auto like filters. We could put an amp in here, and if not amp, sorry. Well, we could put an amp in here, an auto pan, because as you know, and I think you can do this on like other devices. If you turn the phase, and I'm gonna put it on, whoa, that's really weird. Oh, shape, yeah, you should be able to make it be like a square, because then it chops. So like, listen to this. And by the way, I've deactivated all of these, so I'm gonna solo the auto pan. So you could do something like this. Wonderful. So you can do anything. I think it's crazy, this whole, in fact, I'll just rename this audio effect rack to parallel processing just to further drive the point home. I wouldn't have even gotten into any of that, and I wouldn't have even explained any of that if I didn't think, because like, you know what I mean? Like, as I've told you guys, like, I don't come on here to make a sound design hangout unless I have a good idea. And ideally, it's something that we maybe haven't done in a while. And yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. And I like doing this. I like to take the volumes and turn them all the way down. I'm actually gonna keep this on bandpass filter because, and again, this is the bandpass filter. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the low pass filter, and I'm gonna increase the volume till it sounds good, and then I'm gonna mix in a good bandpass. In fact, I know I want it at 0. And I'm gonna adjust this. Now we've got these LFO settings here, but I have to see this moving because I know exactly how much I want it to move. So what I'm going to do, and we're probably going to be, even though you can use one LFO and map it to multiple parameters, I know exactly, precisely how much I want these things to move. So I think I'm just going to drop an LFO on each one. Notice how I dropped it here. In fact, I'll just leave it closer. It doesn't matter what order you put in, but notice it's not over here, right? It's inside this particular chain, the low pass filter. So if I click band pass, there is no LFO. It's only on low pass filter. I'm trying to explain this because there's probably a lot of you that are like ridiculously good at Ableton, but like you probably don't use the audio effects rack very often. So like I'm trying to be very thorough on everything. So if we go in here, I'm going to click map. I'm going to put on frequency, and the depth is going to be so small. In fact, that's probably too much. Too much, lower the rate. I just don't want it to be static. And I think I'm going to take this offset and move it down a little bit. And I'm going to take the depth down to 3. I just want it to just be moving so slightly, even if it's so subtle that like most people don't hear it. I just don't want it to be static, like if I turn the LFO off. Even though that's fine, and this lower rumble is fine like that, but I need just a little bit. That's why I'll even get like a tiny bit of jitter, so it's not like a perfect, even though you can barely hear it. So I like this. And now I'm gonna start adding up this bandpass filter. Sometimes make it go really loud just so you can hear it. Let's leave it at -6 for now. And I'm gonna drag an LFO because I want a different sort of rate for this. I'm gonna map it to You also might want to go in here and map the resonance. But I don't want it to go that high, so I'm going to take it down. I want it to move, but I don't want it to be that much. The resonance is also a good one to sort of map. Maybe I want to invert these. I want it to like go the opposite way. Like I want it to like kind of peak up more when it goes to these ones. Maybe not. Maybe I don't want any on this. You don't need that. In fact, I should be pushing play. I'm like holding down buttons. Just click play. Now you don't have to like hold down a button or whatever. I am gonna map it to resonance, but I want it lower. I want just a little bit, just to give some variety. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw another auto filter in here. Now we're gonna get this sort of a sound. Now maybe you don't want that sound. And so you could do that as well. I actually don't really like this sound, but let's just see what it sounds like all together. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this, because I don't want all these highs to come through. So I want to sort of limit it. And then I want to go to the LFO. And I'm going to map it on this. Maybe this one will be like phase offset. That'll give it some like stereo kind of stuff. Lower the depth on this. We'll call this notch, because it's a notch filter. And we could keep going here. I mean, there's other things we could do. We can always put some filter drive on these. Let's and then what you can also do is put an auto filter after everything and just be like, okay, well, I don't want, we'll just tap it here, right? Which means we could get rid of this. No, we need that. And so you could go in here and you could say, let's put the bandpass more on the right. Let's put the notch more on the left. And now we've like widened it out. So now it's like more interesting. And then let's do another auto filter here. And let's do the crazy guy. And come down here to morph. And I wanted to like do some of that. This is what it does. This is, it morphs between two filters. And then what I'll do is I'll get the, what is it, LFO? No, that's after. Well, it doesn't actually matter where you put this, to be honest. Map it to the morph. You have to move the offset. Take down the rate. No, so let's just do something weird. Let's just for this one, let's throw a cabinet over here. Whoa. Are you not gonna let me put a cabinet in here? Okay. Just because we never use this. So we have like 4 pieces of, what is this one called? I'm not sure. What is it called? Morph. Mork. And we could come down, lower it, see if it sounds better panned one way. I would leave this one center because it's like has more of the lows. This, we've got the lows cutting out, doing what it needs. Here we've got this. It's letting the lows and the highs go through. So if we wanted, we could then throw another auto filter like right here. No, not to replace it. What the hell are we, what just happened? I just duplicated it, and we could then do this. We would need to so then we can limit how much lows come through, because this is letting in all the lows. Either way, it's just adding more to adding more lower end that we might not want to the sound. Because like this notch lets everything low come in, everything high come in, but it's just notching this out, which gives it that sort of sound. So right here we're saying, well, I don't even want you to have access to any of these lows over here. And even though all the highs are coming through, we're then using this. And like, who knows, maybe like just a little bit of movement on that could possibly sound good. So we could like go into here, map that to this, but then we can then move these up to do it. So it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And now we can do something else. Like, let's see what's good if we put like delay on here, like a lot of delay. That can like change the sound a lot. Maybe, so now it's just widen it up a bit. Just sounds more interesting. Dry means nothing. Like maybe you're just like, whatever, I like this sound, this is what I want people to hear. Can mix in with the dry wet. We didn't even really touch the reverb settings. Gonna put a different reverb on here. Let's see if hybrid reverb like blitzes up this CPU metering down here. Remember we were having issues with that the other day? Let's see what's up. Let's see if it blorks this out. Look at it. It's like clicking a little bit because this uses like a lot of CPU apparently. Yeah, how dare you? Looks like I'm gonna be getting, well, let's like see, does a Convolution Reverb Pro use as much as the hybrid reverb does? Because the hybrid reverb is passing it through a convolution reverb and an algorithmic reverb. So let's see. Convolution Reverb Pro takes a while to load up. It's spiking. Yeah, apparently these convolution reverbs, can't use it. Wonderful. Now, well, I've got a lot more appreciation for Ableton's regular reverb now. But yeah, just the decay time. Although because it's like a legato static sound, you don't hear it as much. I'm even hearing some clicking and popping. I'm even hearing some clicking and popping even from this reverb. So see these like bars down here? You get that through clicking this C. I thought that my setup was glitching, but it turns out certain effects use up. I've never really run into issues, and I've never really run into like any of those issues before. I thought it was like weird energies and like Mercury retrograde, but like look at this. This thing is like working hard. Look at this MIDI up here. Nothing's happening. Why? Why is it working so hard? Well, because we've got it going through all these filters with these LFOs. We could have like saved some CPU by having like one LFO mapped to all of these, and like just mapping all of these guys down here. But I wanted to really drill into specifics. And so, so if you're like, well, hey mate, what happens because like my computer is getting a little bit taxed on the CPU with all of these different things? Well, first of all, you can get over that. Like I could go over here, right click on this and do freeze track. It says it will stop audio. So like And if that's the case, you probably might want to make this longer than 4 bars. You would freeze the audio track, and so it sort of bakes in everything, and then you can play it back. Alternatively, if you're like, all right, I'm done, I just want to like listen to this, you know, you could then put it on the timeline, export it out, and you're not going to hear those clicks. It's just going to print the audio. So that's why I've always keep this button thing open here. It's really weird because I've got like an i9 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, but like 8 cores. It's like a 3-year-old MacBook Pro that's pretty powerful. I just didn't think, I don't know, it's really weird. I'm like, so then how come all the other times in the past, because I've been using Ableton for over 10 years, how come all the times in the past I never really ran into those little popping sounds? I don't know. Maybe it's just my ears are getting better. So before we move on to the final thing, see this parallel processing? If you wanted like to just drag this in, you would click this save button, and then it would pop up in your presets for future use. If you wanted to do that, you could also, you know, as always, minimize it if you wanted to. Why is there an auto filter here? Because we wanted to just make sure we cut out any highs, because I'll be honest, like when you're getting, not every track has highs and all these highs, but white noise is everything, so you probably don't want anything much above 8,000 hertz anyway. And so the only other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to, because like white noise is like, you know, it's constant. Oh, thank you, delay. It's constant. But what I noticed, because like we were making all those sounds, like one of them kind of just sounded like a good, like if you were on some sort of like a machine humming, like you're on like a spaceship, it's like that white noise. And that's what's really cool too, is like in this operator white noise track, like listen to this. We can, let's shift the algorithm, and then let's see what it sounds like. If we throw like, see we're on B, we've got sine wave now. Actually, I'll make it like a sine wave 8-bit. Listen to this. So you can do that. So. And you can come into here to fixed, make it any sound you want. And you could like whoop it a little bit, right? So if you go into like LFO, and you go to oscillator B, now it's like whooping. Hear it? And then you might go into here. Let's do like 200, an octave up. So it's just really cool things you can do. Add other stuff. You don't need that. And then you could get some FM if you do this one. Now we're going to provide FM on this guy, on C. Wow, what's happening now? Now it's a synthesizer. Maybe make the envelope like fade in. It's cool, right? All right, now we got to get going here. It's been very fun, but the last thing I wanted to show you is the vinyl distortion, because it kind of gives, so like it just plays, right? Like this vinyl distortion. Here, I'm going to move it to the first in the chain. I've noticed you don't even need to have these on. These do next to nothing. Oh, it really does hurt your ears, the higher end, because there's all high stuff coming through as well. Can you hear that? Look, I'll like turn these on and it won't really change. I'm not hearing any change. You might say, oh, open up the queue, which is called B now. I don't hear anything. Go down here. I don't hear anything. Look, turn these off. Maybe a little bit. It's so negligible. So this is interesting, right? I mean, because we can like do this. I'm gonna turn off these guys. You could even automate this track fader. But what about this? What did I want to do here? Well, check this out. Throw resonators on here. Turn the dry wet all the way up. You can give it a note if you want. Let's leave it where it is. So it's almost like it's falling on a resonating object. But what I actually think would be better for that, and again, I'm just giving you guys ideas right now. Smash a like if you like these ideas. Corpus. Like it's falling on like a metal plate or something. And then you can mix some of this in. So it's like rain. Doesn't that mean, of course, it sounds like it's, oh, it's too loud. Well, then you just lower the track fader. It's just in the background. Maybe it might sound good with like a delay on it or something. Let's do echo. We never do echo. I need to use echo more. How cool does this sound? You can adjust the tune. You could have multiple ones that are playing like different pitches and stuff. And then put this LFO so it like kind of slowly goes out of tune each time, because like, so it's not the same. You could just have all kinds of these. It's not like anything you want. I mean, hell, you could just be like, oh, this is interesting. And again, you try what? Like, this just sounds weird. And you're just like, oh, okay. I kind of just like how weird this sounds. So now let's like, I don't know, bathe it in like, see if hybrid reverb lets us do anything, or if it's, look at it, it shouldn't be spiking up this much just from hybrid reverb, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Something must be going on, or like maybe there was like a new update, like it just uses a lot more CPU. I don't know, but I don't like that anymore. It's going out of tune too much, so I'm gonna come down here to a mount and just lower it a little bit. You don't even have to do that. Almost needs like a little bit of reverb. Well, you know we're not going for hybrid reverb. Look, the track isn't even moving. See this bottom down here? So yeah, I hope that was awesome. To be honest with you, there was a time when like I started playing around with white noise a few years ago. By the way, you can't even shut this audio track off. White noise just plays, like it's its own thing. As long as this transport up here is running, it will play. So if I just push stop. Yeah, I don't even think it stops. Not many devices do that. You know, another one would be good to do this technique with is tree tone, because tree tone kind of does a similar thing. But for tree tone, the transport has to be running. So we'll go to tree tone. Where's that little thing? Oh, it's the rain, I think. So like, listen to that. Let's do the same thing. Yeah, this is a weird one, isn't it? Where were we going? Est-ce que tu sais compressor? No, not compressor. Tu sais corpus? Is it corporas? Corpus foras? How do I make it sound more like noisy? Oh my god. My computer is going... This is so weird. I'm like, yo... Yeah, I can't even like do it in real time. I don't know what's going on. I'm recording a lot of things, so let's just tap it at that. Just happy to give you guys some ideas. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're going and flowing. Smash a like if you liked this. Buy an NFT to support me. The NFTs are the thumbnails. I make all of those in Blender. So yeah, that would be great, because as soon as someone starts buying them, other people will. And you know, ultimately, you know, NFTs, because like I'm into all that stuff. I think you probably know I'm going to be doing an SDHO where I just talk about crypto and blockchain and all of that stuff. Which, who knows, maybe there's some of you out there that would really like someone who can, because it's not just about like buying Bitcoin or some dog coin that's a pump and dump scam. Like, there's actually like actual use cases for this stuff, and like these wallets, these blockchain wallets are really cool. And like the video games of the future and even today are being built on blockchain, which allows you to own all of your in-game items. So like what kids play these days, Fortnite, Roblox, they have all kinds of like in-game items. Now imagine if you could then go sell those in-game items for like whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? Like you actually own them. You know what I mean? How crazy is that? Some kids like, yo, I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, guys, I hope you're doing well. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope I didn't lose anyone in the weeds knowing that I needed to like explain parallel processing, but that was very important, because like literally that will open up a whole new dynamic to your mixing. Because like ultimately when you do mixing when you're say, I've got this, you know, this composition of music, I want people to hear it, I'm going to upload it. Well, when it comes down to mix your tracks together, that might allow you to achieve a lot more than you could. I also think this was so cool, so powerful, that anyone who just wants to get in and wham bam, thank you man, and be like, oh yeah, that Gemini guy's got a white noise thing, I like his techniques, let's see what he does. Well, hell, maybe I weeded out the people that wouldn't wait 15, 20 minutes. You know, they got too impatient, because ultimately it ain't just about hanging out, it's about teaching, telling stories, be good to yourself, love one another. We're shifting in consciousness. Did you survive the autumn equinox and the eclipses that are about to come in October? Did you handle Venus retrograde and Venus going into the underworld? How was that? Were you feeling insecure about your looks, your finances, whatever? Did you just survive Mercury retrograde? Oh, by the way, we have 3 to 4 of those a year. And there's a lot of other planets in retrograde, all the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Do you know what all that stuff means? Do you know what it means for the collective? Maybe we should do an astrology show. I just learned how to read birth charts, which is called a natal chart. So learning about the houses and the planets and what all of that means. We'll be learning about all of it. It's also been a while since we've done a digital art hangout. Might need to jump up on Chia. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash a like. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Be easy on yourself. Be easy on one another. I'll see you soon.
Really high factory. Oh, he ate two. He said, no, you can give me some food. I'm hungry. He said, he's hungry. He's hungry, Toby hungry. Toby hungry. Ain't that little hungry? Tungu hungry. We go. Peace.